Hope you guys are all doing well. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Thad Cruz. I've been serving at SBC for the last couple years. We saw last Sunday the video message from Jacob on Philippians chapter 1, verses 19 through 26. A few things that stood out to me in that message. One of the first things was the idea that throughout it he talked about rejoicing. In this time of COVID and the uncertainty, and some of us filled with just anxiety or losing our jobs, or all the different things that are kind of up in the air right now, us not being able to gather as a church, are we still rejoicing? Are we still able to find his glory throughout this time? One of the other things that stood out was this concept that he said, and it's one of the famous lines that a lot of people say, is to live as Christ and to die is gain. Are we living for Christ and to die for his gain? Or are we trying to live for Christ but do it in a gain for us? What is the motives and the attitudes of our hearts when we're doing these things? Are we trying to self-glorify ourselves in the midst of glorifying God? Or are we really doing it for the gain and the furtherment of his gospel and his kingdom? One of the challenges I would try to make is maybe self-reflect, or maybe even ask your friends, family, spouses, etc. Just ask them, hey, what would you say I live for? Would they say, hey, you live for Christ and you die for his gain? Or would you say something else? I would like to sit here and say that my spouse and my kids would say, oh, I live for Christ and I die for his gain every single moment of every single day. But the reality is I don't. I fall short quite frequently. And then there's going to be something else that's going to be filled into those blanks, unfortunately. And so it's one of those things where it's kind of humbling, and I got to turn around and ask myself, what is the center of my life? During this time of just uncertainty, I would just really encourage us to kind of reach out to other people. That was one of the things that Paul was kind of talking about, was helping out his neighbor, especially people who are newer believers and trying to come along. He said, hey, it'd be better for me to go into the presence of God. That's what's best for me. That's what's best for God. But I'm going to stick around here because I need to help you out. And so how are you able in this time of quarantine, being able to help out other people, reach out and do those things? One of the things that kind of popped into my mind was a sermon from Jonathan Edwards, and it's called Christian Happiness. He wrote it when he was 18 years old, far more than I've ever done. But he had 3 points in it. The first point is bad times will turn out for good. Now, I don't want you to think that, this is going to be one of those things where it's like you lost your job and everything's going to be perfect. But it's one of those things where God can use all these things for his glory. And if we're going to submit to him and we're going to be believers, then one of the things that we need to do is to understand that there's an eternal perspective, and that whatever's going on in our lives right now, that it's going to turn out for good. It just might not be in this life. The second point is good things can never be taken away from you. So whatever you have, whatever blessings are faith, just because we're not able to meet together as a group right now, we are still able to have that faith and still have that community. We have technology that we can reach out to one another. Maybe you can write a letter to people. There's all kinds of different things that we can do that can't be taken away from us, not by the government, not by disease, not by anything else, and we can still rejoice in his name. And then the third and final point in his sermon is that the best things are yet to come. And I would just encourage you to keep that mentality as you understand that we have to have an eternal perspective. Okay, this is all temporary. Whether finances are getting tight, whether food is going down in the pantry, whatever it is, I know those things are tough. As I look my girls in the eyes, one of the things my wife and I have been talking about is, hey, are we being prudent? Okay, or are we being paranoid? Like, which way do we do with these things? And one of the things is we just got to kind of keep going back and relying on God, and just knowing that this is all decaying around us no matter what, and that the best things are yet to come. So I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you guys continue to glorify God, and God bless.